Hi everybody, welcome back to Frontier Patriot. I'm Ron Rayfield and this is Justine Dorn. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's November.
It's November, but it's 80 degrees outside.
It is hot. Now tomorrow it's going to be like in the 50s for the high, so summer's not over as of today. But it's only got about 12 hours left and it's
Hey, the 50s sounds pretty good.
It does sound good.
Yesterday it was also in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's a little
84.
Bizarre.
It was 84 yesterday.
I heard that we're very close to breaking the record actually today for the hottest day on this day in all of recorded human history in Missouri.
I don't want to break it.
I don't want to break it either.
And it's worse because we got used to the cool weather for a little bit, so when it just gets to be 80, it's like...
Yeah, and it's actually probably 90 degrees in here because of the fire, but
right.
we're here, and we're just going to mentally block that out and pretend like it's beautiful November.
So what do we got here today?
Today we have...
minced meat pie?
I love pie.
Minced pie?
I love pie. You guys asked me what's my favorite food, just pie in general. P-I-E. Any kind of pie, I like it.
It's like saying you like pizza. You like any kind of pizza.
Yeah, I like any kind of pizza. I like any kind of pie. But Lord, this be testing me.
It'd be testing you.
This be testing me. This is a little strange. Okay, you either love or you hate mincemeat pie. And this is from 1796 American Cookery. This receipt is from the very first American published cookbook. Now, Ron has never tried this.
I've never tried this. It's, I think it's going to be good.
You guys like mincemeat pie?
I think it'll be good. But we will find out.
We will find out. You are very optimistic, I'll give you that.
So I'm going in. Nice and flaky.
I'm not even going to tell you what I think about it yet until Ron takes a bite. I don't want him to be biased now.
I think it'll be good because apples are kind of neutral. They go good with pork and such.
They do.
And they have a little bit of sweetness. I know the raisins are definitely sweet. Let's see, let me use a little spoon to
scoop all that
up all the goodiness here.
Yeah, this is not going to hold its shape just because...
There's no binder.
There's no binder, really. There's no flour. There's no eggs in it. So it's just going to kind of fall apart when you cut into it. But by modern standards, that's pretty bad. But back then, the pie paste or the pie crust was a cooking vessel more than anything. So it didn't really matter if you really just threw the whole paste away, which is a nightmare for modern concepts. Right. We're not going to do that. But it was a baking vessel that holds in the juices and the liquid as it cooks. But it wasn't necessary that you had to eat it all the time.
Well, shall we?
We shall.
Dear Lord, thank you for all of our friends that are watching us. We hope that they're all having a great week and everybody's safe and healthy and enjoying life. Thank you for all the blessings that we have. Please let this food nourish your body. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Here I go.
Here he goes.
Oh.
Hey. Oh my.
Not what I was expecting.
What were you expecting?
I really don't know.
What?
But this is not what I was expecting.
Okay. So, can you explain?
Let me go for a second.
What are you experiencing right now in your mouth?
Hey!
Hey, get out of here! Please? Okay.
No!
No! No!
Go. Go. Go, 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 go. Back up. Back up. Good girl.
Thank you.
It's like taking... How do I explain it? It's taking a bite of just beef, like a plain steak.
Yeah.
And a bite of apple pie and chasing it with some raisins that have been boiled.
That's a very good description.
It's not disgusting. It's just not appetizing.
Yeah, it's not disgusting. It's just kind of...
Like, I'll eat it. I'm hungry. I'm going to eat this. But it's not... it's not like it's not like a venison pie that we've made on the show here twice. And it's not like an apple pie that we've made before.
Yeah.
So it's
just...
It's food.
It's just food, yeah. It's not very good. It's not very bad.
But with the cinnamon and nutmeg in it, with the apples, you get the apple pie taste. It's like taking a bite of your dessert, your meal, and then
at the same time. It's a hybrid. If you're a man in a hurry and you don't have time to eat dinner, make this. You got savory and sweet all in one dish, and you can head out the door and have a good day.
I would say they're conflicting flavors.
Yeah. Now, the beef is juicy as can be.
Very tender.
I was a little worried that it was going to get overcooked because first it says boil it, and then it says bake it. We baked it for a whole hour, but it is not dry at all.
No.
It's juicy. Has that bounce to it. But, yeah, I don't know about it. Now, I have had very good mincemeat pie.
What was in them different from this one?
Now, that was actually also a historic recipe that we made on a very early video on Early American.
Before my time.
Before Ron's time, yes. And I believe that had either lemon juice or orange zest or juice or something like that in it. Now, here's the thing. That one did not actually have meat in it. Meat. It had suet in it because every single mincemeat pie has to have suet. Now, suet is the fat from around an animal's kidneys. It's not like lard. It's different. It's harder. It holds up really well when you're baking, whereas lard just melts and turns into a liquid. And it used to be a big thing in everything.
Funny thing is, the local butcher here in St. Genevieve had no idea what we were talking about.
She laughed at me.
Even said, "Ew, gross! I would never eat that."
Yeah, she laughed at me. I went to the local meat butcher, and I said, "You guys have any beef suet available?" And she said, "What's that?" And I said, "It's the fat from around a cow's kidneys that people use for baking." And she said, "Ew, I never want to eat baked goods ever again. Are you serious?" And I said, "Yeah, they do that." And she said, "We don't have that." And I said, "Okay, bye."
Now, we think she might have been just a cashier lady.
Yeah, she might have been, but still, come on, man. You work at a butcher.
It is hard to find beef suet in America.
Very hard to find it.
In a supermarket, if you will. So you have to go to your butcher. So we're gonna go back in person and
not that butcher. Apparently.
And well, there's other ones, but we'll request what we want because they'll give you what you want. So they might not have it on the shelf there, but if you tell them you want this, they'll give it to you. But anyways, I think the chickens are wanting to be talked about.
Hey, so, I never explained this mincemeat pie. I was in the middle.
But chickies.
Oh.
So. Today, we finally got eggs out of our chickens. We've got like 12 eggs today. Out of 3 chickens.
Okay, so here's the thing. We had all these egg boxes in the coop, and we've had them for a while now. This is a new batch of chickens. We got them in springtime to replace our old batch that unfortunately got eaten by a crazy raccoon. And we were not expecting them to lay this early. Whoa.
That one's my friend. She's friendly.
Yeah, she's the nicest one. But we weren't checking the egg boxes because we didn't think that they were laying this early. So Ron goes in there this morning and he just casually is looking around in the coop and he's like, "There's eggs in the nest box." What? So we look in there and there's like 7 eggs sitting in there. And they're all these beautiful colors.
Green, pinkish red, brown.
Look at this one. I was so excited when I saw that. Oh my gosh, I was thanking the Lord for giving us such a good harvest. Yeah, now they're laying like crazy. And so today we paid attention and we got 4 eggs out of them today so far. So we have 8 total hens and 1 rooster. So most of them are laying and we're happy as can be about it.
Now back to the pie.
Okay, now back to the pie. So that one was absolutely amazing. I have to direct you all to watch that video on Early American. That one, it tasted like a burst of sunshine in my mouth. It tasted like I was eating an orange flavored Starburst candy because it had the apples, the cranberries, and it had like that citrusy notes to it. Oh my gosh, no meat in a mincemeat pie from the 18th century? Who are you fooling?
I think I would like that one.
Yeah, you would like that one. Okay, here's the thing. We're out here dispelling some myths. Not all mincemeat pies back in the day had meat in them. And I know it's so hard to understand, so hard to grasp, but mincemeat could also refer to fruit meat. It didn't necessarily have to refer to moo-moo meat, to animal meat. This is true.
Because even you'll see references to flesh.
Sweet meats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll call it flesh of an orange or something, or meat of an orange.
Yeah, so back then sweet meats referred to candied fruits rolled in sugar. So meat didn't necessarily mean animal meat, Now, a lot of mincemeat pies did actually have beef in them, and suet was mandatory. I haven't found one that doesn't have suet. But you can actually find some early receipts for mincemeat pie that do not have actual ground beef in them.
I'm going back from work because I am a little hungry, but it's...
Here we go.
I will give you my rating, though. I'm going to rate this... I'll give it a...
Here we go with Ron saying he hates something, but he eats the whole thing during the chew chat. I predicted this is going to happen.
I will give this a 4.225.
Wow, that's very complicated.
It's not quite a 4, but
4.
it's definitely not a 5. 4 1/4. That's what I'm giving it.
Okay, that's pretty poor. That's not good. That's not even
because
5.
It's just, I mean, there's nothing bad about it. There's just nothing great about it. Okay, fine. I'll go in between good and bad. I'll go 5.
5.
No higher.
Yeah. I told my friend that I was going to be making this a few days ago, and her instant reaction was, ew! She said that is not something I would enjoy. So, and you might be sitting out there thinking the same, that combining beef with raisins might not be the best idea. It sounds like an oatmeal cookie from Satan himself. I would give this a 5 as well.
I think the raisins is what's throwing it off the most.
Yeah.
And then the cinnamon.
Yeah. It is a little weird.
It's weird. I don't know how you can make it better. I don't think a gravy would even be better. I think that would make it worse if it had a gravy. So it is what it is.
Not all mincemeat pies are made the same. You might say, well, my grandma makes the best mincemeat pie. That might not taste anything like this.
Right.
This is from 1796. This particular recipe maybe is just not that good. Your grandma's recipe might be fantastic, but this one is just not it.
Yeah,
it's very bland and just a weird combination.
And if you want to see Justine make this, please go over to our main channel. It's Early American. Over there we cook it.
And here we eat it.
And here we eat it. So you can see how she made it over there.
Yes.
Which, speaking of cooking, we have decided on a punishment for the loser of the pumpkin carving contest that went down last week. I am officially the loser, because people didn't know how to click. They just typed in my name, but
no,
that
that's
count.
not true.
Anyways, I am going to be picking a receipt, and I'm going to cook it, and that video is going to air this Friday, and it's going to be quite entertaining, and you're not going to be expecting this. Justine wasn't expecting it when I told her what I was going to do, and I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to wait and see. I would say it's complex, and it's interesting, and it's completely from what you would think I would do.
We were thinking about putting it in the chew chat at first, but then we decided there's so much hilarity that's probably going to ensue. No offense, Ron. That we're just going to make a whole separate video for it, and that's going to come out this Friday in a couple days. Now,
we did go to the fort this past weekend, and we had a ton of fun.
Fort de Chartres.
With our friends and new friends that we've made. We camped out over there for 3 nights, and the only bad part about it was it got really freezing cold the last night we were there, and a dog peed on our tent, and that stunk all weekend. But
whoa, can we go back and explain?
Well, I'm giving them the shortcut version.
Okay,
this would be a 4-hour-long video.
Fort de Chartres in Illinois is like our second home. We always go there to reenact and go to their rendezvous. They have a huge summer rendezvous. Thousands of people come. But then they also have a somewhat smaller winter rendezvous, which still has hundreds and hundreds of people, but it's not as big. So we were super excited because we were going to camp out this time.
Nice weather.
Very nice weather. And so to be smart, a couple days ahead of time, we said, let's set up our tent to air it out. Because sometimes tents can get kind of this moldy smell to them, this mildew smell. So we did the right thing. We aired it out.
Everything was good.
Everything was good.
Until the final night. Apparently a dog come through at night and peed on it. I didn't know about it.
A neighbor's dog.
So the next morning, we tore it down at sun up. I didn't notice it. Threw it in the box. Went to the fort. And I'm unpacking. I was like, what's that smell?
Oh, it smells horrible.
And there's like a big spot of like orange juice colored crusty pee. And it just smells horrible. Yeah. So we had to sniff that all weekend.
Yeah, there was nothing we could do. You might say, well, you could have just sprayed something on it. We're out in the middle of nowhere. literally cooking with fire and candlelight. We don't have any fancy bleachers and stuff with us, so
and once you park, you don't really want to have to walk all the way back to your car, and then go all the way to town, end your historical clothes, and then come all the way back, and then walk all the way back when there's all this stuff going on. It's just...
So we were stuck.
We just dealt with it.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to the good part. We bought lots of goodies.
We did buy lots of goodies.
There were a lot of vendors there this weekend.
Yeah.
And we got some new shoes.
Can you pour me some water?
Yes.
Shopping spree!
So we're going to show you guys some of the wares we got, and we found a very antique item that we've been wanting for a while now.
Yeah, very...
For a unbelievable cost.
An unbelievable price. Okay, so today is Ye Old Haul. Sometimes we do these sort of hauls for you all. Every time we go to a reenactment, we come back with the Ye Old Haul. So I'll go first, I guess. Okay. So the first thing I got, like Ron was saying, is I got myself some shoes.
I did too.
Some Ye Old shoes.
Now, these came from a gentleman named Steve who runs the Daniel Boone of Kentucky outfit, if you will. And I just want to say the customer service was top notch.
Oh, we know this guy though. We've known him for years.
His booth is it's set up very nice. It's like an outdoor store. He's got chairs sitting there on like a stage platform that you can hop up on, and he will fit your foot for the shoes. It's very interactive.
He'll even put the buckle on it for you.
Oh yeah.
So
nice guy.
Every time we've been going to reenactments anywhere around here, we saw the Daniel Boone of Kentucky. That's the name of his store. And I would buy like random small things from there, like scarves, books. And I kept on looking at these shoes, and he's famous for his shoes,
Most
actually.
comfortable reenacting shoes.
That's what everyone's saying. And I showed up there with extremely uncomfortable shoes that were rubbing up against my feet so bad I couldn't bear it. So I said, Ron, that is it. After looking at these shoes for years, I'm going to go in and buy myself a pair of shoes.
He told me those fancy shoes are nice and good for, if you're at a historic house and such. But he says what he hears from most people is they need something comfortable to wear at the events.
When you're walking in grass.
He calls this the camp shoe, and this is what he's developed with a shoemaker, and they are comfortable. That's why I bought me a pair. After Justine said they were comfortable, because she's very picky with what's comfortable and what's not. So if she says they're comfortable, they're good to go.
The bottom is leather, and they're nailed on.
And stitched, too.
They're stitched and nailed on. And yes, these are the most comfortable 18th century shoes that I have ever worn personally. But I've been putting off buying these shoes for years because I run my shoes to death. So the shoes that I have on now, the flats that I always wear in my videos, I've had those shoes for 10 years.
They've seen many of hot coal.
Yes, actually that's funny you say that because the bottom of them is all melted because of all the hot coals I've stood on. So I didn't want to buy new shoes for a long time. I didn't want to. And they're totally different time period though than the flats though. Yeah. The flats I have on are early 19th century. Those shoes are 18th century, but we do a lot of 18th century reenacting, and I just did not have comfortable 18th century shoes.
I didn't even have 18th century shoes. All I had was boots.
You had boots.
And it is hot during the summertime. My legs sweat. And I had a chance to try out a pair of shoes back in August, I think. I had a buddy lend me a pair because I forgot my boots at home. Rushing, that's what happens. But anyways, they were comfortable and my legs could breathe. And I was like, you know what? I need to get me a pair.
I've been nagging you forever, telling you, why are you wearing boots in the middle of summer? Does any girl walk around with high boots in summertime?
I'm sure it's somebody, but it's miserable.
Yeah, sure. There's one woman,
sweat.
One girl named Sally out and I don't know where. But the majority of us don't do that for a reason.
Well, should I show them the...
yes.
How about you talk about the other thing and we'll save this for last.
Okay. So then the next thing that I bought, and this is a pretty big deal for me.
The tinsmith.
Hey, don't tell them what it is though.
I just said tin.
You guys looking at this, what do you think this is?
Looks like a science project
with
vials of...
Yeah, these come out.
Make popsicles in these things?
So... You could.
Are these bullets? Are they rockets?
You could make popsicles in these. That's actually a pretty clever thought. Maybe if I flip it over, it might look a little bit more familiar to you. What in the world that's supposed to be?
Looks like a rocket ship.
It does. So this is a candle mold. And it was made by a tinsmith that we get all of our tin items from. And actually, these candlestick holders are tin.
Yes, we got them last year from him. His name's Christian. He's from Nebraska. Very, very nice gentleman. Very knowledgeable. He has his own shop. He even has his own video, like a documentary was done on him at his shop.
Yeah, he does not have an online store, though.
No, you have to catch him in person.
A lot of us reenactors don't do technology.
No.
Are you surprised? Yeah, we don't do technology, so you really have to catch them in person.
That's why it's always important to come to these events, because you find stuff you won't ever find anywhere else.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, as soon as I saw this, I said, whoa, I have to have this, because this is the genuine, bona fide, certified, legit candle mold that they would have had in the 18th and early 19th centuries. You will see like these really cheapy tin ones all the time, like what we have up there.
It's a cheapie.
Those don't really work that well. A lot of people just use that as display.
You can get by, but it's going to fight you and your candles are going to get stuck. These are tin, and they're very slick and polished inside and seamless, so your candles are going to come right out. And there's a slight taper. You'll never be able to see it. It's thousandths of an inch taper, so it will pop out of there.
So it has these rods in here. And they're stored down here so that they don't fall out. But let's see, I'm sliding them out now, and then you hang them up here.
With your strings tied down through here.
Exactly. So the purpose of this is you tie your wick to the end of this, and then you put the wick through the candle mold, and then you tie a knot off at the end right here. And then when the candle is done drying, you just yank it out.
Yep.
And the candle should hopefully come out. But this guy's also a professional when it comes to making period correct candles.
Yes.
So this is the most accurate candle mold from the 18th and early 19th centuries. And
it's tested, tried, and true, too.
Yes, he also was selling candles. Yeah. And so more people actually use candle molds than they did the dipping method in the 18th and early 19th centuries. Because people just didn't really like the bad-looking, misshapen candles, honestly. Unless you live down the middle of nowhere and you have to do it yourself, sure. But I normally hate making candles with a candle mold.
Now, you can see the difference between a dipped pair and the candlestick holders. The candles are lit. Those are molded candles. So that's a difference. Those look like carrot sticks and those look like candles.
Hey, that's a good point. Let me show it to them.
Now, they look very whimsical, and I like them. They put out just as much light, but if you're high society, you want something nice and uniform.
Or even if you're middle class. So this is a molded candle.
Yep.
Looks all perfect. This is a hand-dipped candle, which does not look perfect.
And
it's all lumpy and whatnot.
It won't burn as even or as efficient.
Yeah, that's right.
But it will give you light.
It's also a less efficient use of wax because it's fatter down here than it is up here. It's not as efficient, so this is a more efficient use of beeswax. But I will say, in the past, I would always make them with those candle molds.
Those black ones there.
And these are a nightmare. These are a total nightmare to work with. I mean, and the reason for it is because the inside, these were probably not really made to be used.
Decoration.
These are made for decoration. But anyway, the inside is not perfectly smooth. So because of that, when you finally go to yank your candle out, it might get stuck. And I've had issues in the past where the wick will just come out and then the candle stays inside, which is a nightmare.
Back in the melting pot it goes.
Yeah, and he explained to me that part of that is because the candle has to be freezing cold. Like if it's actually stuck, you can put the candle in the freezer and then you can yank it out.
Or do it during winter time.
Yeah, but he told me not to use one of these because the inside, it's rough and your candle will just get stuck.
So it's a very nice piece.
It's completely handmade. He made every single little part of it. And I never seen anyone selling something like this before, so there was only one for sale.
I love talking to him. He's very knowledgeable. Very nice man.
He makes all of our tin gear. We have a tin cooking pot from him. We have a tin civilian replica bread mold. Thank you, Ron.
Yep. Well,
we have one last thing now to show you guys.
Now, I think we've mentioned this before in the previous weeks. We've been looking for a cauldron. Last week we did the pea soup. That was on loan from the museum. That was a nice cauldron, but we have found an original piece.
At the fort.
At the fort.
On a blanket sale.
Yes, at the fort there are these merchants that set up and sell new reproduction things, but also campers are allowed to put out a blanket and have items they wish to trade or sell to you. And we got this bad boy, or I got this bad boy while she was shopping for shoes. We bought an original cauldron for $35.
$35.
$35.
I know.
35.
You're thinking there's no way in heck this thing is really 200 years old. And we didn't think so either. When you bought it, you didn't think it was 200 years old, did you? I figured maybe 100, maybe 125, and it was just in bad shape. But talking to a few people, and then we looked up the name. This is a POC set. I think I'm saying that right. The company existed from the late 1820s up until about the 1880s. So that puts it at 200 years old, possibly. Yeah, possibly. And I believe it's a 2-gallon. There's a NO and a 2GAL on it. It's hard to read because it is pitted, but there's no cracks. There's no holes drilled in it. Yay! No one drilled holes so they could put plants in it. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Please don't do that. You make a cauldron that's worth $3,000 go down to $50 when you do that. Even less than that. Scrap value. You probably get like $10 and it's weight. Yeah. Please don't ever drill holes through a cauldron. I don't understand why people do that. They say, oh yeah, it's my old grandma's useless cauldron. Apple butter cauldron. So I just holes in it, put out there in the front yard, and look at it, got the blackberries growing out. You're like, you're an idiot. Yeah, it's from 1790. Who cares? Let me just drill holes and put my plants in. So, it's insane. So anyway, I walked back and I found Ron, and he said, hey Justine, I bought a cauldron. And I said, oh, I really like it. Actually, I did like the Lion King thing where they do with Simba. I was like, he found it. And so we were walking back and someone stopped us. They said, whoa, what is that? And Ron said, oh, I just bought this cauldron for $35. I thought $35 it couldn't have been over 100 years old. Now this guy that we coincidentally happened to walk into, he loves studying old ironware. And he does Civil War so he took a look at this and he said, oh my gosh, guys, do you realize how old this is? He looks at the bottom of it, and apparently there's a very, very faint line on the bottom. And that tells you that it's at least 100 plus years old. From where they would pour the molds, and then that would had to be grind off. I forget what that's called. But it's a thing that they don't do anymore, and they haven't done for a long time. But he says it's at least Civil War old, probably older. So we're thinking possibly 1830s. And then we went home and we did further research, and there was one guy on eBay selling it for $7,000, which I think that was insane. That's insane. I think that's a little crazy. I found some other ones with this name, and they were like around $500. Yeah, it's more realistic. But $35? Now, there's no lid, but we did find one. We did find that another one of our pots fits it good enough. Coincidentally, I'm taking the lid off from another pot that we have. It coincidentally does fit-ish. Technically, it fits. Yeah, it fit-ishes. Now, I'll measure this lid, and when we go to the antique mall next, we'll look for a lid that just needs a home. Keep an eye out. Yeah. Yeah, so we got a $35 200-year-old cauldron to add to our growing collection of actual period cookware pieces. It's always a fun time at the fort. Good job, Ron. Thank you for finding that. You know, speaking of fort, I want to give a shout out to our good friend Peter and his lovely wife Kathy up there in Canada, who's building a fort. Oh yeah. I watched his newest video this morning. He's already got the entrance poles up, and he's got a flag. Tell him what YouTube channel this is. Oh, the Woodland Escape. Yes. Yes, so definitely go check his channel out. He does lots of really cool things, the very skillful things that I wish I could do, and hopefully one day I can do, but we'll see. He's got a lot of wisdom on me. We like the Woodland Escape. It's like one of our favorite YouTube channels, so do check him out. Yes, I hope to get up there that one of these days, or if he come down here. We're trying to get him to come down for the big rendezvous at the fort in June. That's true. Just needs to take his canoe all the way down. Yeah, maybe there won't be any checkpoints, so he won't need a visa. He's from Canada. Yeah. Well, hey. This week in history. Go.
Okay. This week in history, I have for November 5th, in 1639, the very first post office here in the Americas opens, and it's set up in Massachusetts.
The 1600s.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I bet it was horses carrying the mail to
I'm sure it was. So 1639, there's not that many people here at that point, but they needed a post office.
Understandable. Yes, that's neat.
Next up, November 7th, in 1805, Lewis and Clark reached the Pacific Ocean at the mouth of the Columbia River.
That's a very big accomplishment.
Very
to
big
walk
accomplishment.
all that way, and they had boats too, but I mean, that's a real far way, and then they had to come back. It took them years.
The return trip would just, like, when we go on vacation or something, or, you know, a trip, I love going to it, but on the way home, I just want to get home. I don't care.
Too.
Get out of my way. I'm flooring it. And
That's me too. Now, random fact, during the Lewis and Clark journey, only one man died. Do you know what he died from?
Was it, like a pneumonia or something?
No, he died from appendicitis.
Appendicitis, wow.
So his appendix just coincidentally happened to burst out in the middle of nowhere, and there's nothing they could do for him.
So it wasn't a bear attack or an Indian attack or nothing?
No.
Wow. That's pretty, I mean, that's a shame that he died, but that's really good odds for an expedition like that back then, for not to lose anybody due to weather or hostiles or wild animals.
It just shows you that they really picked some very intelligent men.
Yes. Next up, I have November 8th, in 1731 in Philadelphia, Benjamin Franklin opens up the first library here in the North American colonies.
Whoa!
And it was called the Library Company of Philadelphia. Now, this building was demolished. Why? I don't know. Why do they demolish things? Now, they did rebuild it, but they tore it down. And then they thought, well, you know, we better rebuild it because people are angry about it. Remember that time we talked about, I can't remember if it was Lewis or if it was Clark, but their house in St. Louis, it was tore down. That made me mad. But anyways.
You are the same people that tore down that library, or the same people that drill holes in their cauldrons.
Yes, yes. Now, the library does still exist today, but it moved across town into another building. I think in the 1880s or something like that, it moved over there, but I'm still mad they tore down the original building, because it was a beautiful building, but they did build the replica of what it was.
I have to admit, I did not know that Benjamin Franklin opened up the first public library.
And that was a year before George Washington was even born. 1731. George Washington was born in 1732. Benjamin Franklin
is the life.
He's the man. You know those commercials, those beer commercials from Dos Equis or Dos Equis, however you want to say it. The most interesting man. Ben Franklin should be the spokesperson for being the most interesting man in the world.
He had two families at the same time in two different countries. One was in America, one was in England, neither of which knew about each other. So he was living a double life with his wife's. I mean, so not only was he a man stud, but he was also super intelligent. He had all these wacky inventions that we still use to this day and we totally take for granted. I mean, also he said all these quotes that we again take for granted. My favorite being "no pain, no gain." I cannot believe Benjamin Franklin is the first guy to say that. It just makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's
a character.
He's a celebrity. And even still today, everybody, he's everywhere. But anyways, moving on. November 8th in 1789, the first bourbon whiskey was distilled, which bourbon comes from distilling corn, not wheat. Like when you get whiskey, you use wheat. This was distilled by Elijah Craig in Bourbon County, Kentucky, who was also a minister. A minister is making corn whiskey, bourbon.
It really don't get no more American than that.
So it's
an American drink.
Yeah, it's an American drink. So if you like bourbon, it comes from Kentucky and from the late 18th century, distilled by a preacher.
And corn is native to the Americas, so that just makes extra sense.
Next, we have November 11th in 1620. After more than 2 months, approximately 66 days at sea, the Pilgrims finally arrive at Cape Cod on November 11th in 1620. A few weeks later, they sailed up the coast of Plymouth Rock to start their settlement.
Wow, I can't imagine being on a boat in the middle of the ocean for 60 plus days.
That's 400 years ago.
That's very scary.
403 years ago.
That's very scary.
That's a long time.
To do that.
even in our time, you know, here in 1820ville, 1620 would have been ancient.
Well, that's the same amount of time between today, 2023,
yeah, it is.
and 1820. It's the same amount of time. So put that in perspective. Like, people will comment on my channel all the time. They'll say, "Oh, they didn't have cinnamon back then. They didn't have lemons or stuff like that." I just want to say, you're thinking about the time of Queen Elizabeth and Shakespeare. 200 years prior to the 1800s.
Right.
So much has changed in the last 200 years. Okay, today in 2023, we have men that have gone up to the moon. We have electric refrigerators. We have cars. We have yada, yada, yada. 200 years ago, we didn't have any of those things. So much can happen in 200 years.
So much can happen in 50 years.
Exactly.
Next up, I have for the same day, November 11th in 1858, the 20th President James Garfield marries his lovely wife, Lucretia Rudolph, and they got married in Ohio. They were both 26 years old.
Okay, well, good for them.
The same day, November 11th in 1889, Washington is admitted as the 42nd state of the United States of America.
Okay.
And that's all I have for This Week in History. This week.
This week in history this week.
This week in history.
Now, eventually, we're going to run out of weeks for This Week in History.
Remember, the first of the year, we're going to change it up. We're just going to pick the most randomest, strangest history fact, one history fact, and we're going to dive into it in depth. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be here in America, though most of them, I will try to keep it there. But if it's really cool, you know, somewhere else, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. So, once the new year has come, and it's, what year are we on? 3025 now? Something like that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Give or take.
I've completely lost track of time. But once we get on to the next year, we are going to get rid of This Week in History because we've already gone through every single week in American history for the calendar year. So now we're going to move on to something else. We're going to do today's weirdest history facts. And I'm really excited about that because fact is stranger than fiction. There's a lot of weirdness that went on over the last how many ever years.
I'm still a little hungry.
I knew this would happen. Ron always rates things so poorly, but then he eats it.
It's still not good, but I'm hungry.
Are you the kind of guy where you go to a restaurant and you eat all the food and then you call the waitress and you say, "It was rubbish.
No.
It was terrible."
No. I'm really excited for that video to come out Friday.
Yeah, me too.
I can't wait for you guys to see it.
Me too. I have faith in you. Okay, let me put it that way. I have faith.
It is complex.
Yes, I looked at the receipt that you picked out. I didn't give him any advice whatsoever. I think it's going to taste absolutely amazing because all the ingredients are just, it's kind of like a no-fail dish. But it's inspired me to make what I'm going to make in the next week. Let me put it that way.
And then we'll give our reviews on that.
We'll give our reviews.
See which one was better. Now, I will tell you the year. I'm going early. We're going back to 1751. So it also gets harder that way, too, because the old world had certain ways they did things, and then by the time you get to 1820, it's been Americanized, a little bit more convenient, and, you know...
This is an American receipt, though.
It is.
It's from the 1750s.
But they still have that old world
English.
kind of,
Old English.
Yeah, Old English. Ye old... I can't tell you what it is.
In fact, I looked at it and it read like a poem. It was quite peculiar the way they decided to write this receipt.
It's pretty cool, actually.
But you picked it and you buried your own grave. You gotta lay in it now.
I actually was narrowing it down between that one and one from, I think, 1833. But because that one's a poem, that's actually why I'm going with it, because it's so cool.
It's so cool. Yeah, it is very unique, I will say. So look forward to that on Friday.
Yes.
And I'm certainly looking forward to it. I'm just going to stand back and not say anything.
You know what? I'm going to give another shout out. Our lovely friend Carrie. She is coming down here to visit us.
Oh, yeah.
And spend the weekend in St. Genevieve. And we're so looking forward to it. So, Carrie, Hope you got your bags packed and your tickets ready because I think you're hopping on the plane tomorrow. And we're very excited to meet you in person. Finally.
She is a lovely viewer that's been watching our videos for a couple of years now.
Since the beginning, I think.
Yeah, she's just been super nice to us from the very beginning. We email each other back and forth. And she's in California, and she's in the live chat all the time. She comments all the time. She decides she's actually just going to fly over here.
Yeah.
So we're going to meet up with her on Thursday, take her to Cracker Barrel.
Yep, she wants to go to Cracker Barrel. I think she's got roots in the Midwest, doesn't she?
I don't know.
I thought she did. But anyways, it's going to be a great time. I should have asked her to bring some In-N-Out for me. Those of you who are out in the West Coast, In-N-Out, I love In-N-Out.
I've never had it.
The animal fries.
I've never been out there, so I've never had that. It's really good.
I should make her a deal before she hops on that plane. Yes, if we're going to take you to Cracker Barrel, you bring me some In-N-Out, please.
Are you allowed to bring fast food on an airplane like that and just pack it in your luggage and it's just like a greasy mess by the time you get there?
Oh boy. Anyways, I guess we're going to hop off here, clean this up, and we'll get ready for next week. So, we love you guys. We appreciate everything you guys have done for us. We actually got our first Christmas card all the way from the UK. So, I mean, it's coming up. So.
We don't even have a Christmas card ready yet.
I got to make one.
Yeah, so we will not be replying to that for a little bit. Please be patient with us. We make our own Christmas cards. So we have to draft the ideas for this year.
Also, we're working on the coloring books.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Now, don't send any money yet. I'll announce when they're ready. And how we're going to do it this year is you're going to email me and tell me how many you want so I can keep track of it. Otherwise, if 50 people just send me payment and there's only 13 books left, that doesn't work. So email me first. Make sure they're still available for the amount that you want. Okay. And then we'll go from there. But anyways, have a good week. We love you guys.
We love you guys. Take care and see you on Friday here on Frontier Patriot to watch Ron's struggles. And then next Wednesday on Early American and then for another Tune Chat. Take care, everyone. We love you.
Bye-bye.